All set to go.
Already?
Angus, you know what to do. Clap us in.
There you go.
Put that in there. Welcome along to the Whisky Stories Podcast. On tour, it is the Speyside Special Bonanza with Angus and myself. Angus, we've done it.
We have, and that was a nice echo on my clap because we're in the courtyard of a distillery.
We are indeed. I mean, it's 20 past 10 in the morning. It's, as we're recording, it's Friday the 11th. Glorious sunshine here.
Yeah, we're up in Speyside. I should have brought my sun cream.
we left Edinburgh this morning at 6 o'clock. So it's an early start, but we've made it up here in plenty of time because today we are recording exclusively at the Speyburn Distillery.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a few weeks ago on the pod we had Stuart Baxter and he spoke about the distillery, and when we had the opportunity to come up to Speyside, I think Speyburn was pretty much top of the list.
Yes.
You know, we've heard so much about kind of drum maltings, worm tubs, all these great things that are here.
Aye.
And I just can't wait to get a look and see them for myself.
Yeah, and the great news for me today is that I won the coin toss when it came to who's going to be the driver for this weekend. So I am, as Ross would put it, passenger princess.
Passenger princess.
That's me today, Angus. Angus is drawing the shots, so he's driving up. But more importantly, here we are. We're in the Speyburn Distillery. We're joined by Melinda McLean. Melinda, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Enjoying the sunshine.
It's absolutely, well, we did say, do we want to record part of this? Do we want to do the intro inside? Or look, we've got a perfect opportunity to be outside. So Melinda,
what's your title here? What's your official title?
I'm the brand lead host.
Right,
Ooh.
Brilliant. And so you'll be hosting us today.
I will absolutely
Fantastic. And how long have you worked here at Speyburn?
Since 2023,
Yeah.
when we first opened as a visitor centre.
Right, so you've only been open as for visitors for 3 years then?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
So August, 1st of August, that would be as 3 years.
Oh wow.
And in terms of tours and things like that, you do offer tours for people to come along and things. But with being a distillery that's only had its doors open for visitors over the last 3 years, it would probably be an easy distillery for people to drive past.
Absolutely, absolutely it is. But it's a little gem. It's hidden in the valley, which is one of the reasons it was built here. But it's definitely worth coming to visit.
Certainly very easy to drive past because we did exactly
We did that.
that.
In the roundabout, we went straight and to get it
I
right.
said to Sutton after office, I got to the roundabout, I said, Graeme, you're going to need to tell me where to go here. I said, just go straight on. No, we've got making the wrong turn. But we did actually get a lovely view of the distillery from the road up at the top.
It's absolutely stunning, isn't it?
The interesting thing is we've had a lot of pagoda roof chat
We have.
on the podcast before, and
Or
that is
cupolas, depending on who you...
Well, that's it.
Some people say they're not pagodas, but anyway, this is very technical speak.
But what we noticed was when we did take the wrong turning and we looked down, I said, I think that might be the distillery, because that pagoda roof there, if we're looking, I'll show the camera later on, that must be the roof top that we'd seen.
Absolutely.
And we knew, right, we've gone the wrong way, so we came back. So talk us through the distillery. It's been open since 2023. But what's the history behind it? It's been operating long since then.
So the distillery was built here in 1897. John Hopkins built it here. He and his family had got a business, wine and whiskey exporting business, and they owned a distillery on Tobermory as well. But he wanted to sort of bring new technology into the whiskey industry, so building his own distillery allowed him to do that. Charles C. Doig was the gentleman that designed the distillery, and because we're in this valley, we are very kind of short and tall, whereas a lot of distilleries are short and long, and that's because they didn't want to fight against the environment, basically, so it's sympathetically built. And Doig also, as we know, invented the pagoda chimney.
Right.
And Speyburn was in the first 5 distilleries to get that. Ewan, just down the road, was the very first one to get it. Unfortunately, they lost theirs in a fire in about 1917, I think. But so we've got 2 very forward-thinking people on site, bringing the whiskey industry, forward.
So I guess when we look at the kind of new distilleries, like when we were at Inchdarney, and it's state of the art for its day, in a way, Speyburn in 1897 was doing the exact same thing, but 125 years ago.
When we go into the drum maltings, I mean, that technology for its time completely revolutionised how malting barley was done, to the point where it's, we can relate it to like the electric car of our time. That was that kind of technology for that time.
Yeah, so I mean, what was Speyburn's original production for? Was it did it have was it part of a blending company, or was it all single malt production that was going out?
Originally, it was when Hopkins was running it, it was single malt, and then people were buying casks. We've got some very old ledgers. The first sort of record is 1898, and there's ledgers where you can see how it was made and all of the processes, but also the different people that have bought the new make from us, and there's taking it on to make their own whiskey. So it's always been both, for blending and for our own single malt.
And in terms of the visitor centre now being open and people are able to come and visit, what numbers are you looking at? How many people are sort of coming to the distillery?
We're still quite new, so we're wanting to get as many people here as possible. But at the minute, we're sort of looking at around about sort of 5,000 last year. So we're wanting to sort of bring those numbers up, because it's a fabulous distillery.
Yeah,
really
and for anyone who is abroad watching this and thinking, I need to come to Scotland, this kind of weather in Speyburn's really common, isn't it? This is almost a daily occurrence.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Leave your umbrella at home, forget the jacket, don't need jumpers, and of course
just bring your sunscreen.
Bring the sunscreen, and if you do overdress and you do have too much clothes on, don't worry, because I've just been and got myself a nice Speyburn t-shirt to go with the collection there. I'm absolutely fantastic.
Unfortunately, you don't do any baseball caps.
No, we do woolen hats. I was going to get Alan to do it. I just did this in a woolen hat today. But right, so you've talked about the drum malting. So what are the things for people that, if you're sitting there going, right, I'm going up to Speyside, you come through Rothes there, Angus, we've got Glen Grant. Loads of Italians, right? So the Italians, if any Italians are watching this, are like, hey, we've been to Glen Grant, right? Ciao ragazzi to any of our Italian listeners. But if they're coming here and they're saying, right, if we're going up to that neck of the woods, it would be silly to go there, and we're only literally 5 minutes away from there.
Absolutely.
So why not? So you mentioned the drum malting, we've got the pagoda roof. What else are we looking at here?
We've got the worm tubs, so we've got 2 worm tubs that you can come and it's part of the tour. It's really good at the minute because they're empty, so you're going to get to see things that you wouldn't normally see.
Wow.
And we have a dunnage warehouse, which it's just magical in there. It's just fabulous. And also we've got amazing spirit. We have an amazing whiskey, so it's well worth coming.
Well, I think we tried a Spirit of Speyside. I think Stuart Baxter brought, I think it was 2 Speyburn he brought. Yeah. He brought a lot of stuff with him, which was very kind of him.
It was,
but again, a dram I'd never really had an awful lot of.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been the first time we'd ever tried it on that podcast. I think it was April time we did podcast. But worth listening to if you find it. Stuart Baxter, he's just won an award. He won an award for his brand ambassador work. So congratulations, Stuart, on that. But what is it that's you mentioned the liquid here. We'll maybe talk a little bit more about the liquid when we get into the cask or you've seen the production. But what are we looking at with Speyburn? What is the sort of core release? What would Speyburn whiskey be defined as? How would you define it?
It's a beautiful, light, fruity whiskey. I mean, Speyside whiskies are light and fruity, but as you probably found, did you try the 10-year-old? Did he give you the 10?
I think we tried the 17-year-old, the exclusive.
The 17.
And I think we tried potentially.
21?
I think I tried the 18-year-old.
18.
I think we tried the core age 18.
Yeah.
So when we go back, you'll get to try our 10-year-old, which is our DNA.
Yeah.
And it's been 10 years in a bourbon cask, but it's fruity. But Speyburn has got this lovely kind of apple aroma and flavour going through it. And when we're in production and say we're running off the new make, it's almost like pear drops, the smell that's going around. So it's beautiful, light whiskey, and it's just really easy to drink.
Perfect for breakfast.
Absolutely.
Perfect for breakfast.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. You're going to take us around, so I think rather than just standing here talking about it, enjoying the sun, let's go and see what we've got.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this is it, Melinda.
Yes.
We've heard all about these drum maltings. Angus and I did as much as we possibly could yesterday and this morning and not look up what drum maltings actually were. Stuart Baxter tried to explain it to us, which we nodded along as if to go, oh, yeah. No idea what it is. But we've entered this room, we've had a little look around. We're standing in front of number 1 drum, which is Angus's nickname.
It is now.
The number 1 drum. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drums here.
Yes.
they're old-looking machines. Above us, there's wooden flooring, there's cogs and wheels and everything that goes on. What is this place?
Okay, so this is where we would malt the barley to start making the whiskey, to turn it into the grist. So these here replace the hard labour of hand turning the barley on a malting floor.
So when you hear turning the floors, so the old story of you'd see these big long floors, and basically you'd see these guys, and that's where the phrase "the monkey shoulder" comes from. These guys turning, because what you have to do, if I'm right here, is making sure now. My family background is malting, right?
Oh, okay.
Albeit not of a Scooby how to do it, right? But what I do know is that during the drying phase, there's a danger that, which is why the grain needs to be turned. Am I right in saying that there's a danger that they become entangled and stuff like that?
So you can see by the photograph on there, you can see the little roots.
Yes. Okay.
Show this there.
And so by turning it, you're avoiding the kind of
time. Loose grain, and it doesn't sort of become a big.
So these drum maltings then, these are contemporary with the distillery, am I right?
Absolutely. So these were.
This is 1897.
Yeah.
Wow. Right.
And it's the first drums to do this, first drum maltings in Scotland.
So this is state-of-the-art stuff for
Absolutely.
1897.
Yeah.
So where were these made then?
They were made in Germany.
Right.
So this technology had been used for malting barley for making beer in Germany. So it was proven. It was, it could do what it said on the tin. And it was shipped over, all of them were sort of shipped over in the late 1800s.
God, there must be some weight in there,
It's
mate.
incredible, yeah.
And then they were put together on site. So they came kind of flat packed. And when Jordan, one of our operators, I was saying, found this box of old records that sort of said they were actually here from day dot. I was always hoping that they would find a wee bag of nuts and bolts that just
the extras.
Yeah, I don't want
Or
to throw these away.
some mechanic has just gone, right, that's it, finished. What about those? Forget about that. Don't worry about that.
But we haven't.
That's why one of them went for a clunk with 100 years. So when did these stop being used by the distillery then?
1967.
Wow.
So 1967.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is that they stopped being used in 1967, but they're still here. No one thought to scrap them.
No.
And am I right in saying,
incredible from a history point of view that these artifacts are still here.
Absolutely.
But and also, right, from and again, building is not something I'm particularly familiar with, but were these flat pack brought in and built inside this building, or was the building?
You see, that's something we're trying to find out.
Right.
The records and the plans of this building are held in archive in Elgin, but they're really quite fragile, so we're not allowed to actually see, because that is the big conundrum. Because they're huge.
Because they're huge. So I mean, you would think that they couldn't fit. I mean, you couldn't fit that bit through the front door.
Not the door we came through.
No, exactly.
And then so let's go back to this process here.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry.
So we've talked about turning the floor. So this takes turning the floors away.
This takes it, yeah.
And the reason behind this then, I'm assuming, gets rid of manual labour requirements, but also on a space-saving exercise, because how much would these drums be able to hold?
About 1.5 tons each.
Right.
And they would be fed from one of the steep tanks upstairs. So that would take the 3 tons, and then it would be fed
Split
into
them
the
there.
two.
But then I'm imagining from the space, because what you mentioned earlier on outside is that the distillery is kind of vertical distillery. They didn't want to take up too much space.
No.
So if you were to have floor maltings and have 1.5 tons times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Angus, do the maths, that's a lot of barley. That spread over a floor for turning would have been quite difficult.
Yeah, so it meant they could up production.
And then, of course, if they were to outsource that, then there would have been a cost to buying, instead of just buying the barley as it was and malting it in-house, they would have to pay for the malt barley to come in, and then less control and stuff like that as well.
Exactly.
Fascinating. So as you say, so they come in, the barley's fed in, and then is it just a constant?
No. So it would take about 35 minutes to do one revolution.
Okay.
So at the start of this process, which is sort of the second to last process, it would maybe go round once or twice a day at the beginning of the week. Towards the end of the week, it would go round more often, but it wouldn't go around any quicker. It would still take 35 minutes. And at the start of the week, we would still have, like from the malting floor, you have heat coming up through the malting floor. We would still have warm, moist air coming through the drums. So they would feed through these half-moon pipes that go around the outside,
Right.
feed through the grain, which is sitting.
So hot air would be fed through there, do you say?
Yeah. So it's sitting in this area of the grain, so the air feeds through, and then it's fed out of this main tube down and out.
So the hot air goes in these Half Moon, and then comes out of this, and then down here.
So it's fed in the back, comes out here.
And where was the hot air coming from?
So there was a building just on the other side of that wall, specifically built, and there was a sprinkler system at the top, a furnace at the bottom, and then a big fan. And that fan would be pushing.
And that created the steam, so you had
the heat,
cold water coming down,
yeah.
hot air coming up, meeting in the middle, and steam going out.
So the technology, I know, I mean, you know, to
because
think of
we were
that.
what would that have
well,
done to the flavour profile? Because people would talk about like the peated, when you get smoky whiskey, it's coming from the malted barley process which you're using.
This would have been a coal-fired furnace, presumably, as well. So that would have added something, presumably. You know, that we talk about, you know, steam interacting with barley and creating a flavour profile. That would have added to the flavour of the.
Would it have been
product.
steam? Or heat?
Vapor. So it would have been
right.
it would have been because it would have like steam vapor, warm air, warm moist air being pushed through there. And as the week went on, that air would become drier and hotter.
Yeah.
So you're really shutting down that process before it goes back upstairs onto the kiln floor or one of the two kiln floors.
So you had kiln floors as well.
And not only is this, you know, compared to the floor maltings, a space-saving device, it's a labour-saving device as well. So you know, if you're in the business of owning a distillery, you're having to employ less people and
modern technology taking
technology,
folks' jobs.
Exactly.
That's it. We'll all be replaced by AI soon. It's just the way it's going.
I know. But I mean, for its time, this would have been absolutely state of the art.
It's like say the electric car of our time.
Yeah.
That's what it was for the technology.
Absolutely.
For them.
Who was it? What was the next or distillery or maltings that decided to go with this? Yeah.
Glen Grant.
Really? What are they doing on there?
It took them about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, keeping up with the Joneses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's that noise coming from down the valley there? It sounds like they're clunking something.
Because the noise and I mean, we talked about how you know, obviously the guys that had to turn you know, this monkey shoulder, this condition where you end up with you know, the monkey shoulder. But I mean, the noise in here must have been incredible.
Deafening.
Your ears must have taken a battering.
There's a huge wheel that's on the far wall there. There's a massive steam engine outside that would have been powering the whole of this building.
Yes, because there's belts, there's gears on there's wheels on the top of the building that you said would have had belts on them that drove the gears of this. So you had a steam engine there. You had a furnace with hot air there. It must have been a horrendous working environment.
When you
noisy
think it was taking
and
away
hot.
from that hard work on the malting floor, it wouldn't have been that much better for, you know, people.
But then would someone have had to be in here monitoring the whole time?
Really?
Yes. So they couldn't just go, right, because I think you mentioned before we started recording, it was like just a big tumble dryer.
Yeah.
So you can't just go spit on a spin dry and come back in an hour and a half time.
So the head maltman would still need to be checking the moisture content of the grain. So it might take 7 days, it might take 5, it might even take 9 days for this process. So he would be checking all the time. And we were lucky enough when we first opened, we had a lady join one of our tours, and we were still trying to piece together how this building works. I kind of look at it as my historical jigsaw puzzle, and there are some pieces left behind the back of the sofa that I'm still trying to fill in. And we had made an assumption that from the storage floor on the top level, that the barley was swept through holes into the steep tanks.
Right.
And this lady confirmed that when she used to visit her granddad, who was the head maltman here, as a little 8-year-old, the job he used to give her was sweeping the barley through the
And of course, her granddad was famous in Rothes because he was banned from the library because he spoke far too loudly every time he went. But I mean, we're going to have a wee look upstairs as well and check out, because down here, I've tried to get as many shots as possible. I'm seeing on the back here, Hanbury and Co, RJ Hanbury and Co engineers. So that must have been, was this pneumatic malting system? So was this the guys who sold it, or was this because you're saying that the stuff came from Germany, but at the same time
they would have bought it from
bought it from these guys down in London. Fascinating. And like you say, whiskey history. That I mean, already we've seen the pagoda roof, which is one of the first of the pagoda roofs in a distillery, and these, which are the first. And within 6 months, the neighbours have gone in stone.
But it's fascinating in how, you know, things that we take as icons like the pagoda chimney and they're actually technologies
Yeah.
that were incredible
and
for
at
its
one
time.
point at the complete cutting edge as well. I mean, when we go to distilleries and they say, this is the technology we're using, it's cutting edge, no one's done it before. This is what this distillery was probably saying in 1897.
And it'd be interesting to know, like, you're saying a ton and a half, so how long did that process take before it was then taken out of the drums?
Probably, like I say, between 7 to 10 days.
Right.
It depends on the moisture.
But I'd be interested to know, like, from a production point of view, what did that do to Speyburn in terms of how much malting they could get done in-house, and where that would compare? Like, was there a bigger distillery further up the road that did floor maltings that could do the same or more in that period of time, but it was much more labour intensive? Or were Speyburn able to say, we can do way more barley malted and cut down on the labour that's going to be done?
It would be interesting to find out. But I also think, like we were saying earlier, this is like a space saving because we're in the valley and because we haven't got the long spaces to have the huge malting floors.
It's all been considered.
Yeah.
And so just for clarity, sorry, Angus, these were brought in at the very beginning then?
Yeah.
So this would have been part of the blueprints. It wasn't a case of changing over. It was just a case of, from the very beginning, from the outset. So the person who wanted to build Speyburn Distillery and design it will have said, I'm going to build a distillery. But what the bravery to be able to say, I'm not a case of, I mean, maybe you could understand maybe if the distillery had been going for 10 years and then this opportunity came up and they said, yeah, let's do that. But to actually say, we're going to build a distillery from scratch and we're going to use this, because there would be so many people that would have probably at the time said, can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, John Hopkins, he was in the industry for a while, so he would obviously seen different sort of ways to do things. But yeah, he was definitely the driver.
And what's incredible is he's operated for 70 years as well. For a machine, you think of installing a machine and saying this is going to run for 70 years, you would go, whoa.
Exactly.
So
literally in 1960,
it's a bit like the car you brought us up in today.
Exactly.
In 1967,
MOT next week.
when they shut this place down, they literally just turned everything off and left. They didn't even bother clearing out, because as you go past, you'll see the elevator system that would be going up to the top floor, which would have taken the field barley up to be cleaned, but also takes the barley from here to the kiln floor. They didn't even clean it out.
Really?
Yeah. It's not great housekeeping, but there's original barley from 1967 still in the buckets.
Wow. And brilliant for the foresight as well, but whether it was by a happy accident or not, because so you're saying 1967, you were saying was when this place was shut, but 1967 people weren't looking at like, better make sure we preserve these, because there'll be people, one day there'll be a couple of guys from a podcast that'll be interested to see these. No one was thinking that. It would have been dead easy. And by the way,
the money,
the scrap that you could have got out of this would have been, so it could have been easy enough to say, right, shut it down, we're going in a different direction, and get some guys in, strip that stuff out and flog it. And then you would only be able to show us the blueprints and tell us, we're actually been able to stand here, touch them, see them. We can see how thick and heavy they are. We can actually see inside, so you can see how it's going to work. And as you've kind of said, you can actually, you could be forgiven for thinking that they were maybe being operated a couple of weeks ago, because you can still see remnants of the barley, which is barley that was probably the last run in the 1967.
Definitely.
Wow, fantastic.
Incredible.
Right,
absolutely incredible.
Let's pop upstairs and see what we've got. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Melinda, we've just gone up 2 flights of stairs, very narrow flights of stairs, because this is a very old building, and we're now in...
Well, where are we?
We're upstairs.
This is the storage floor. So this is where we're going to start the malting process. So we've got the field barley that's come from the local farmers. It's been brought up to us via an elevator system that's just at the end of the building.
And is that a kind of bucket system?
Yep, so it just picks up and goes down and just keeps going.
And it would have been run by steam as well?
Yeah, the whole building was on steam. You can see the belts and the wheels up here.
So the barley comes up here. Now, where does the barley go? There's a machine with Porteous on it. That's not a Porteous mill, is it?
No, that's a destoner, a Porteous dresser. So that was put in the 1920s when we got electricity. So this is to clean the barley before it's put onto the storage floor.
So it takes out stones and nasties and means that doesn't...
So
this is where the barley goes up.
Right, so the barley goes up.
Barley goes up, and then there's this rail system here with a little kind of almost looks like a little train.
Yeah.
But,
so that's where the cleaned barley is brought up, and then it's fed onto this trolley, and it's spread out. So we would have 2 rows.
So
of
on this
cleaned
floor,
barley on
it's
the floor.
just spread
So
out
would
on
it just
the
be
floor.
either side? So it would just literally...
You can see there's got 2 spouts on either side of the trolley.
Right, and it would just... So it would just be a pile running up this way and a pile running up that way.
And what I can see are a few little holes in the floor.
Yes.
So these would have been open at some point.
Yes, yeah. And they're directly above the steeping tanks, which are on the next floor. So it's nice and handy to sweep the barley.
And this would have been where the lady that was on the tour
Yes.
told you that her grandfather would have had her in here as a wee kid.
Yeah.
No
Oh,
help.
no, not
her. Not her.
Just visiting.
Visiting.
She wasn't actually employed, obviously.
I was going to say, Speyburn
do
didn't
child
have
labour.
We're not
child
using...
labour.
But the thing is, they were so easy because they were so small.
No.
and then you sent them up the chimneys.
Absolutely not. Burley maltmen.
We just want to clarify there were no children involved in the making of Speyburn.
And if a stone did get into the drum malting, a child would be
just
able to
stick
go
one
in
in,
and pick
just
it
stick
out.
one down.
It's about the right size.
No. For clarity, just in case anyone's watching international beverage or anything like that, children were not used in the production of making single malt at Speyburn between 1827 and 1967. There we go. Well, look, this has been great, and of course, this is just the beginning of the process, isn't it?
This is the cleaning part. Downstairs is where we're going to start the germination.
Yeah.
And then, of course, on to the distillation part, which we're really excited to see as well. Okay, Melinda, talk us through where we are right now then.
So we're in the tun room. We're next to our semi-lauter mash tun.
Massive.
It is huge, yeah.
It is huge.
Chuck Kerr could probably walk in there and walk out and still not bang his head.
I think it's that big, yeah.
He'd be doing well there.
Yeah.
Right, so that's very big. And then behind us, we can see these. Now, I'm going to hazard a guess here. People are going to start watching these videos and like, Graeme is starting to know what he's talking about a little bit. Is this an Oregon pine washback?
It is.
Yes.
Yep.
Douglas fir.
Oh, yeah, either one. And we have 4 of these. We used to have 6 before the mash tun got kind of brought in through the ceiling. You can see where the roof had to be lifted off and the building had to be
you can.
redone to get it in.
Yeah. And you say it right, so 6 here.
There used to
4,
be
6. There's 4 here, but you've also mentioned that, because these are big size.
Yeah,
huge.
27,000 litres.
27,000 litres per one.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's not just these that you've got here next door, you're saying there's other ones as well.
There's 15 stainless steel that can take 27,000 litres again.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, for a small distillery, I mean, because like you mentioned right at the start, it's not vertical as in Portleith Distillery vertical, which we've been, but at the same time, so it's deceptive because it looks like a nice, cosy little tiny distillery, and it is very nice and cosy, but as well as being nice, tiny and cosy, it's producing a hell of a lot.
Yeah, 4.5 million litres of alcohol a year.
So it uses its kind of square footage to absolutely the maximum.
Yeah.
So when we like you said, we had a lot more stainless steel washbacks. Are they used for a different kind of spirit? Do they end up in different places, or it all goes in the same?
Yeah.
So I've got a mix of. So you've got a mix of the wooden and the steel.
Because I've been to distilleries, for example, where they have like wooden washbacks and stainless steel washbacks, and the wooden washback goes into their single malt production, stainless steel goes into blends, etc. That's not the case here. It all goes into
for us personally, we don't really think it makes a big difference in flavour.
Sure.
The team will say the stainless steel ones are much easier to clean.
Oh yeah, I bet they will.
But these are gorgeous and looked after, which these are. They can last for about 50 years.
So these were installed in 2014?
These were probably here before then.
Oh right, okay, so this is older than the, because you were saying that when the roof came off 2014, but these are older than that.
These were here before that, because the two would have been sitting.
You heard it right. And now in terms of production-wise, then you're mentioning over 4 million litres. Is it all going into Speyburn single malt, or does it get shifted off to different blending and stuff like that?
Other companies will use it for blending.
So other companies,
we also do it for our own single malt.
Ah, fantastic. And like I say, you wouldn't picture that level of.
No.
That's a hit.
I mean, we're 24 hours a day. So 7 days a week. So although we're in a quiet period just now, we're full on. And you saw in the operation room, we're kind of fully automated. So it means that we can do this whole operation with a team of 6.
Wow, because I mean, we've gone from being in this old style building of the drum maltings, and then you're coming into this now. We've got it's a nice stone farmhouse building kind of look about it. But at the same time, there's a modern feel. And when you see a mash tun like this size, it's huge. It really is massive, and it lets you see, this, and it's steel and it's modern.
Yeah.
So you've got that, but then on the other side, right behind us, you've got these lovely old school looking Oregon pine washbacks, and they look fantastic. And one of the things is, it isn't until you look below you see the full size of these, because it's easy to look at them and go, the water only runs down, or the water only runs down to there, but actually it goes right the way down. And when we were at Thompson Brothers, visit Phil and Simon, and we were in their tiny little Dornoch distillery, and they have these, but they're just like, almost like the kind of wooden jacuzzis that you would see.
Exactly.
But that's there. But it's a tall. You forget, and for people who maybe don't visit many distilleries like myself, it's easy to forget that you think these are just short and stumpy. But no, they're really.
I was
tall.
lucky enough to be at Balmenich when they were getting a new washback put in, a wooden wash, and it's literally like a cask being put together. You know, you go to the cooperage and see a cask, it's exactly the same.
So it's getting all the staves in the right position, and then hammering in,
yeah.
and I take it was a team of people doing it
huge.
as well.
And then of course it was
remarkable.
just plain wood, so then you've got to linseed it and make sure, you know, but it's like building a huge cask.
Yeah, so in terms of fermentation times then, is it uniform here? Is it the same between the stainless steel and the wooden washbacks?
72 hours.
72 hours.
So so your 72 hours, that might be, because that's what's with having a mix. Now, you've got a hell of a lot more stainless steel ones than you do wooden ones. But then I suppose just that difference of having 4 wooden washbacks, there'll be something happens there. There will be something to do with your flavour profile, your distillery character, which shows like stainless steel with a little bit of wooden washback,
possibly
with the same fermentation time. Because everyone talks about, look, the flavour that you will get out of this with the bacteria and everything that goes on. Because you mentioned cleaning them, and you'll clean them as best as you possibly can. But when you're dealing with wood, it'll just absorb. So that's what creates that. So fantastic. Fascinating. Right.
Perfect.
Cool.
Off to the next place, I think.
I think so.
Okay, so Melinda, this is the bit that most people who visit a distillery will recognise. We've got very big copper stills behind us.
And stills with the Forsyth name on it, which, I mean, this was presumably deliveries a wee bit cheaper up here because you're only dealing with somebody next door to you practically.
These two are. I think we have one that's still from Abercrombie.
Oh, right, okay.
Very good. So what we got, so with three stills.
Yeah, one wash still, 2 spirit stills.
And you were saying one of the, is it the wash still?
It's the largest in Murray.
So this is the largest, so it's a fair size. But we're looking at, not very tall.
No, so these are onion stills.
Onion stills.
They're not. They haven't got a long neck, and that does help give us a lighter spirit.
But then, of course, what you lose in copper contact in the still, you gain when it goes out to the worm tub to get that extra. So again, it's like another thing of engineering, isn't it? And you still have the condenser, the standard condenser there as well.
Yeah. So that one is for the shell and tube is for the wash still, and the 2 worm tubs are for the 2 spirit stills.
Okay.
And how long will these be running for? And what's your sort of volume that you've mentioned earlier? But
so the wash still will take the full 27,000 litres from the washback, and I think this process is about 6 hours.
Okay.
I'll need to double check.
No, that's fine.
That's okay.
But so this is where we do the first distillation, and then the second distillation is obviously through the 2 spirit stills, and it goes from, I say, 27,000 litres that go in here to 14,000 litres that will go into the spirit still.
Yep.
Out of that, we'll have 7,500 litres. That includes 4 shots, new make and feints, or head, heart, tails.
Yeah.
And out of that, 2.5 of that is the heart. That's the spirit going into
so
the
that's
cask.
incredible that you distill down
27,000
litres,
and
the liquid that actually hits the cask, 2,000 litres. So that's
but
a
we
remarkable.
do hang on to the head and heart, and
and they go back in.
But it is. I
it's
found
remarkable,
that
isn't
stunning
it?
when I first sort of started.
And you're saying 27,000 litres will go in here, but that's 27,000 litres per washback. Yeah. So when you think about it, all right, if you say out of each one of these washbacks it's full, only 2,500 litres of this stuff is going to actually end up in the cask.
Yes.
And then, of course, whatever is lost through the cask. It's incredible when you actually break it all the way down.
But what you've also got to remember is what percentage is the wort that's going in here at the beginning in terms of ABV. It's
about 6
or 7%. And then when it gets into the cask, what ABV do you fill the cask at?
About 60.
67.
I always get these numbers
67.5.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, I think that's quite standard, isn't it?
Yeah. It's around about that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And this when you can tell from the spirit safe when we're running off the new make. Like I say earlier, you get this gorgeous kind of appley smell, and then you also have the sort of malty smell from the wort.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's not kind of smell-o-vision, but there's a kind of lingering smell here.
Yeah, but also equally, on a day like today, the sweat is running off Angus's head.
The lingering smell around me as well.
It's delightful that these aren't on at the moment, because it would almost be
Absolutely.
too much. It'd be so hot in here, and especially outside and things like that.
And we're really lucky that we have, you probably saw there's a big factory at the end of the road.
Sure.
So that is the Cord factory combination of Rothes distillers. They collect from all of the distilleries within Rothes the 2 waste products. So the draff, and they'll turn it into animal feed, biomass pellets.
Cool.
And they'll also take the pot ale from the wash still.
And give it to the locals.
They'll do the same with that. And there is an urban myth, though, that there are pipes that run underneath that take the pot ale to the factory.
All right.
And apparently there are some streets in Rothes that don't get any snow or ice on the roads.
Oh, really? Because the
this
heat
hot
coming out?
smell.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how true that is, but it does make me smile.
Saves the council a bit.
Absolutely.
And your spirit safe as well then, so see your spirit safe down there. Just a standard, very nice looking copper spirit safe.
Yes, it's automated, so
everything's done through, No padlocks on there to stop anybody from the old days of when you used to get the exciseman to make sure.
The thing is, up here you can just see there's a door and a window, and you'll see a fireplace just around the corner. This used to be the old manager's office.
Was it?
Right.
And we have some fabulous photographs of workers queuing up to get their wee.
Their wee portion.
The dram, fantastic. Well, brilliant. Right, into the warehouses.
Absolutely.
For me, people who listen to the podcast know this is one of my favourite places.
I love a warehouse, especially a
Dunwich warehouse as well. You can see there's something about the smell. There's something about the noise. Like there's no noise.
Yes.
It's like it's a full room, and it's
a bit like Lawrence of Arabia when they originally they didn't film any noise, and when they got the shot of the kind of the desert, it was like it's not right. So they had to record on a microphone ambient noise in the desert to put in the background of those shots because it didn't sound right with absolutely zero noise.
There you go.
So there you go. Same thing for a Dunwich warehouse.
Well, yes, exactly. We're now filtering noise sound effects into your ears if you're watching this. But I mean, I can imagine with what you said, the level of production at the distillery, this will not be where you store the majority of your casks.
So all of the new make is tankered down to Airdrie at head office, but we have about 2,500 casks on site.
And these casks here, is there
special casks?
Yeah, is there any reasons for them?
These 4 are our special casks. So we've got like 1973, 75. So they're our oldest casks on site. And we do swap with head office. So they'll take 50 away to be bottled, and they'll bring 50 up. So it's. It's just a nice, a special place to sort of, develop that whiskey and those gorgeous flavours.
And do you do distillery exclusive hand fills or bottlings or anything like that?
We don't do hand fills at Speyburn, but we do have distillery exclusives. So we've got a 17-year-old fully matured in a Sherry Oloroso cask, which is just sublime. It's a long whiskey. It's the one that at the end of the party, friends and family have gone home, and you're just sitting there, and it's just gorgeous.
It's a nightcap whiskey.
But it's a nightcap that would probably go on into the early morning. It's stunning.
And in terms of like your maturation, then you mentioned at the very beginning like that sort of, is it the Speyburn 10? It was at the 10-year-old you'd said, which is like just
10 years in the bourbon.
10 years in bourbon. So you don't have a distinctive maturation process in terms of, is it predominantly bourbon cask, is it predominantly sherry, or is it predominantly mixed?
It's a mix. So the 10 is always in the bourbon. Our 15 and 18 start in a bourbon cask. So the 15 is 12 years in a bourbon, 3 in a sherry Oloroso.
Right.
The 18 is 14 and 4, so 14 in the bourbon, 4 in the sherry. And then the exclusives are usually either fully in the sherry or fully bourbon.
And do you mix and match? Do you do different styles of casks? Have we seen Speyburn and tequila casks, or always these?
We've got a lovely rum cask finish at the minute, which is one that you'll try when we go round to the tasting room. So it's a young spirit, it's non-aged.
Right.
So it has started in a bourbon cask, but because we are a Thai-owned company, the rum cask that it's then finished in is a Thai rum.
Oh, Thai!
Wow.
Fantastic.
So it's lovely and fruity. Actually on a day like today.
Yeah.
I think your listeners are probably going to be screaming at the screen. Over ice or in a cocktail.
Oh yeah. No, we're big fans of that. Big fans of that. We had Ali Reynolds on talking about the smoky cokey Lagavulin 16 and on ice and coke. And,
break down the barriers. Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a place where, again, for some people who visit the distillery, different types of tastings? You've got a table set up in a warehouse. I'm assuming when you have a table set up in a warehouse, and I can see Avalanche over there as well. I'm assuming that for certain tours that people get here, there will be an opportunity to come into this dunnage warehouse and take a draw sample.
And we've said it on the pod. We've been lucky enough to do it once or twice, but there just is something very, very special about having a tasting in a warehouse with liquid drawn straight from the cask. It's kind of an experience you have to try if you haven't.
And sourcing your wood, then, is there any particular source, like when you're talking about sherry, Oloroso sherry you've mentioned, is it predominantly Oloroso, or is it Pedro Jimenez as well, or is it a mix of...
No, it's predominantly Oloroso. We do have a travel retail exclusive that we've just done in Jerez sherry, but it is usually predominantly...
And do you have with the larger company that owns Speyburn, with other distilleries there as well, will you have relationships with bodegas and how you source that kind of wood?
Yeah, that's all done, I think really... It's done at head office, but the owners are quite hands-on with that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, look, I believe our final destination here is going to be in the tasting room, which I'm really, really looking forward to. And Melinda, here we are. We've seen the whole process from start to finish, but the best part for me is when you get to taste that whiskey that's been produced here. We've seen how it's been produced. It's been quite a warm morning.
It has,
absolutely.
So we've earned it, and the clock has just gone 12:03. So I think.
Oh well, we're in the afternoon now.
We're in the afternoon now, so it's more than acceptable to tuck into a dram or two here, and you've got a nice little lineup for us today. All four really, really cracking drams, and also very accessible, very affordable, and good value. And of course, as well as this, the tour that you've given us, Melinda, has been absolutely fantastic. And I think,
and from a distillery with real, genuine history behind it as well, and just a really, I had no idea. We'd spoken a little bit about Speyburn. I knew it was an interesting distillery. I didn't realise quite how interesting. Something that was built in 1897 to be state of the art. And the remnants of that still exist. They're still tangible. You still go and touch these drum maltings. It's just so cool.
No,
it's just special.
It's a great place
really,
to work.
And as you say, like the fact that it's only been open since 2023, you said, the visitor centre. So there'll be a lot of people. And look, we'll be honest, and that's what I really love about what we've done with the podcast and how we do it is we learn all the time. That's what we're doing. Angus and I never claim to have any sort of knowledge of whiskey. That's Ross's job when he's here. You wouldn't have got a word in if Ross had been here. But what Ross has had a very long, and he's worked for almost everybody in the whiskey industry. He's only 25. But anyway,
built Glenkinchie.
No, he built Glenkinchie, he claims as well. But the point is there's something really nice about being surprised and when Stuart Baxter came on, when he was talking about the whiskey brands that he had Old Pulteney, which we were very familiar with. He had Bal Blair, which we were very familiar with. But he also had Speyburn, which was the nice surprise of that. But it's led to us wanting to come here because just hearing about the drum maltings, and then you got worm tub condensers, has been fantastic. And this has been a fantastic tour. Thank you so much, Melinda. It's been really, really, and for people who missed it, we didn't have the cameras running, but Melinda actually had to go to an interview, and we still had to get some shots from the warehouse. And naively, she gave us the key to the warehouse and left us for about half an hour. Angus and I had the keys to the warehouse and we went through the warehouse, and I can tell you what, that cask you mentioned from the 1970s was lovely. We really enjoyed it.
Hopefully I'll still be employed by the end of today.
I'm just, once again, anyone from international beverages watches, we did not have any of that. Angus doesn't know how to work a lunch, so we couldn't. But it's been great, and a really nice personal tour, and I couldn't recommend it enough. How do people find out more about Speyburn Distillery? How can people, if they're coming up, how do they book tours? How do they get in touch?
They can go onto our website and book online, and they can they can call the distillery.
Yeah. And what's the sort of stand? What's the tour? What's a starting point? What's the?
It's £20 for our behind the scenes tour, which is what you have done today. You get 4 drams.
For 20 quid?
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go. And you do, and as you've said, you've got the sample here because, as I say, Angus is driving, which is fantastic news for me, but it does mean, but you do driver's drams as well.
We do, so they're the bottles.
Angus will be able to get them filled up.
I will fill them up now,
And we also have a Hopkins tour, which is a slightly more in-depth tour. Yeah. You have higher end drams at the end of it, and that's £50.
Okay,
and we're looking at new offerings as well. So come next year, there might be some, because we are still new.
Yeah,
so we're going to be developing, so there'll be something new next year as well.
Brilliant. And you've given us some lovely tote bags as well, which is very kind of you.
They're always handy.
Which is great. Well, that's going to be really nice.
And I like these ones because they've got a nice gusset. They can hold quite a lot.
Brilliant. Superb. Well,
won't fit a cask in there though. So
no, we won't. We won't. We'll find something to take off your wall. But look, Melinda, thank you so much for having us. It's been great, and thank you so much for the drams. Brilliant. And like I say, like and share, get involved. Share this to anybody who's maybe never heard of Speyburn. Tell your pals about Speyburn, and if they've never heard about Speyburn, show them this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Like and share, and all the very best.
Slange.
Slange